are here with FReDeRiC FoTO, a near and dear friend and type A personality.
Is that what I'm supposed to be?
I think you are, because you're so organized, FReDeRiC. I always say I wish I had an ounce of your organization skills.
You got to get organized.
I know. Are you organized?
Not remotely.
Oh, this one. If he could just sprinkle a little bit of his organization genes on the world, I think we'd be in a lot more organized world.
Years ago, I worked in a bank on Park Avenue, and they had nicknames for me.
And what was it?
Well, one nickname was the multitasking maniac. And then I had another nickname. It was called the formatting fool.
Okay, well, do those both sound like an organized man? and what was the third? I'm sure there was maybe they didn't tell you that one.
They had all kinds of names for me.
I'm sure they did. What were you like in school as a little kid? Did you get picked on?
I was picked on when I was in high school up in New England. I used to ride on the school bus with a bunch of hillbilly kids from what they used to
Hillbillies in New England?
Well, actually, New England is very much
loaded with hillbillies.
New England is loaded with hillbillies because Vermont. The Vermont Green Mountains are actually technically an extension of the Appalachian Mountains. And so you go off the main drags and you get away from like the tourist stuff, and you will find.
You mean like Ben and Jerry Land?
Yeah, and you will find what they used to call
Appalachia.
What they used to call trailer parks. They now
call
them mobile home.
Oh, really?
Something or stuff like that, or prefabricated homes. But in those days they called them trailer parks. And up in the mountains, you have real hillbillies who would live up there for generations, and they could barely read and write. It was pretty scary.
Wow! And you rode on the bus with them?
I used to ride on the bus with those kids.
What were you doing there?
I was living there.
With who? Your parents?
Yeah.
They moved to New England?
Yeah.
From where?
Well, I was born in Paris, France.
Yeah,
I live in New York City.
Yeah.
I live in New York City, but my heart's in Louisiana.
Really?
Yeah, I love Louisiana.
Why is that?
Louisiana, especially southern.
There's some hillbillies down there too.
Well, they got what they call rednecks up in the northern part of Louisiana, Baton Rouge and whatever. But in the southern part of Louisiana, starting down in New Orleans, of course, and then going up in Cajun country, Lafayette and Breaux Bridge and all the Saint-Martin-Ville and all those places, you have this amazing Creole amalgamation.
All you're saying is like food flavors.
Well,
right?
It's an amazing,
Cajun,
Creole amalgamation of black, white, European, Caribbean,
French,
and American, and everybody gets along beautifully down there. It's all about great music. It's about endless parties. It's about great food. And you go down to Louisiana, and I mean, if you don't have a good time in Louisiana, if you don't leave Louisiana with a big smile on your face and feeling really good about
very hungover
about people and life, then there's something wrong with you, because it's a wonderful.
Did you live there ever?
I've never lived there. No.
And how long was the longest period of time you ever spent there?
A week.
Well, then it's kind of like a luxury. You haven't had the reality maybe yet for it to be normal.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I spoke to some locals and told them how much I loved it, and they said, "Well, you can't wait to get out of here. We want to live in New York."
That's the grass is always greener, right?
Exactly.
So you're FReDeRiC FoTO. How long have you been behind the camera lens?
Well, this is me, FReDeRiC FoTO. Well, I've been behind the camera lens I've lost count. I guess I was taking photos back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, I was taking black and white photographs.
When did you move to the city from Vermont and all the hillbillies?
Moved to the city in December 1980. Moved to the Upper West Side just in time for John Lennon to get shot.
Ah.
I remember that distinctly.
I know it's December 8th because my brother died on December 8th of 89.
I remember where I was, and I remember hearing.
Where were you? I know where I was.
I was living in a maid's room. In a big pre-war apartment on the Upper West Side.
But was the maid in the room?
No.
Darn!
I mean, those maid's rooms are tiny, I mean, that's all I could afford
right
in those days.
Right next to the kitchen, right?
Right next to the kitchen. I mean, I think your average federal prisoner has more space than if you live in a maid's room.
Probably.
But I was so happy to be in New York.
But you had freedom to leave the room.
I was so happy to be in New York because I've lived up in the sticks in New England, which has there's some beautiful, beautiful things in New England. There's some good people up there. But
Well, they have nice foliage, don't they?
Foliage, they call it. Not foliage, foliage.
Foliage, yeah, that's about it, right?
Well, they have a lot of good stuff up
Like
there.
what?
Well, we could go on forever. Let's not talk about New England.
Okay.
This is FReDeRiC FoTO is a New York thing. It's a New York phenomenon, as it were.
And you moved here in 1980, right?
1980, yeah. Just
Right in the fall.
Right in December.
Oh, right in December, too.
December, yeah. December.
Wow. So that was pretty crazy. So where were you the minute of that you heard?
I was sitting in my maid's room actually playing a beat-up old acoustic guitar trying to learn Beatles songs.
Interesting. Was it a Lennon song by any chance?
I don't recall, but I do recall that I went through this traumatic period where in college I was a painter and I had some one-man shows, and I used to come down to the city, take the train to the city, and I would hang out at places like Max's and CB's and all that, and which was paradise for me. And one night, I think the first time I went to CBGB, Talking Heads were playing there, and there was this funny man sitting all by himself.
Had you ever heard of them before?
Yeah. Because I was music director of the radio station in college.
What college did you go
It was
to?
Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut, WRTC, and I became music director, and I brought in, called up all the labels, and we were one of the first stations in the whole area to play new wave and punk.
Cool.
New wave and punk was banned by all the commercial stations. Nobody would play that. We don't play punk was the basic answer. So they had this thing called Alien Rock where they played all this, eccentric, weird, progressive music from Europe and whatever, Gong and Can and Neue music, new music from Germany. I encouraged them to expand into the new stuff. So we were the very first stations in the country, probably play Talking Heads, Ramones, Patti Smith, all those great bands from England, the Sex Pistols, and all that. And I used to take the train down to the city. To make a long story short, my first time at CBGB, I went to see Talking Heads. There was a strange man sitting by himself, and it was the only place where I could get a seat. I sit down, and I turned to look at him, and it was Andy Warhol.
So let's see the picture of Andy Warhol. And this picture's from that day?
Can they hear now? I don't know.
All right, so that was the picture of Andy Warhol. Now, when did you take that?
Well, I took that, I forget, maybe a couple years later, but I met Andy. We started talking about Talking Heads and the scene at CB's, and I guess he was impressed.
Did you know who he was?
Well, I knew who he was, yeah, sure, because I was an artist at the time. I was a very serious painter, and I also was very knowledgeable about all these new bands.
He was a pretty big wig already by then.
He was a big deal at the time, and he invited me to come up to the factory the next day for lunch.
Wow.
So
he must have really liked you.
I guess, and so I knew all about Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground and all that stuff, and I had a little dachshund actually, and he had a dachshund.
Well, you had a lot in common.
So we had a lot in common, and he always liked to get to know the kids who were coming up because he wanted to be in tune with all the latest stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was like this encyclopedia form of all the latest stuff.
Yeah, like you are today.
Well, I don't know about that. But
like the oldest.
Yeah. But anyway, that was fun. So that was my introduction to the New York scene. That's a nice way to start, right?
Yeah. That's cool. So then what happened next?
I went to grad school at Columbia, and I've been working in the financial services industry ever since. I'm not going to express my opinion on the morality of what I affectionately describe as the rackets, but I will say that not everybody who works in banking and insurance is a bad person.
Do they all do coke?
No, they don't. They don't all do coke.
Come on. I always heard that they do tons of coke.
Well, maybe, you have these stereotypes about these.
That's what I'm saying.
You have these stereotypes about these traders and certain types of investment bankers who make a lot of money really fast and whatever. The truth is, the great majority of the people who work in the financial services industry are just working people like everybody else.
Yeah, of course.
And they're just trying to pay
the
rent.
Bad seeds that slip through.
And you've got the super egomaniac, megalomaniac, pathologically dishonest, compulsively fraudulent.
Aren't those the most successful?
Neanderthal, criminally minded, morally degenerate corporate pigs who make life difficult for
Are those the ones that are the most successful financially?
Generally,
yeah, exactly. I know.
Isn't that sad?
It's so
Life just
strange.
isn't fair. there.
That's what they say,
The
right?
good guys just get squashed, and the evil people just keep getting richer and richer.
Why is that, FReDeRiC FoTO?
Life is so unjust.
It can be, right? So that's why you go out and take pictures, right? Does that make you feel better?
Well, I've been hanging out.
Who do you vicariously live through?
Who do I vicariously live through?
Yeah, or who would you vicariously live through?
I know this is a very corny answer, but I consider myself very lucky
Good for you.
to be living in New York City and to have so many good friends in the arts who are the best people around
Good
ever.
for you.
And I cherish my friendships, and I'm happy to be myself and to have the privilege of having so many good friends in New York City.
That's nice.
So I wouldn't want to be anybody else.
Excellent. So where are we going to go with seeing some more of your photos?
Well, I do different kinds of photographs. If you go to my website, FReDeRiCFoTO.com, yep, there it is. You will see different tabs. Nature is one of my favorite things to do, landscapes.
Really?
Yep.
And where do you do it? In New England?
Well, actually, a lot of Central Park pictures, since I don't get out of the city that much. Central Park and Riverside Park, but you can get some beautiful images up there. I also do musicians. Performing musicians is my specialty. I've been hanging around in the clubs for so long, and what I decided years ago is if I'm going to spend so much time hanging around with my musician friends, and I play a little guitar and music myself, I'm a bit of a hack songwriter. Maybe not as good as some very talented people who perform this afternoon, but some people like my songs. But anyway, I decided if I'm going to spend so much time in the clubs hanging out with my musician friends, I might as well take pictures of them so I can actually make some kind of contribution. And so I've been taking pictures for years. The name FReDeRiC FoTO actually came from the old Bottom Line. Remember the Bottom Line?
Yeah.
It's a great club. And Lou Christie, I don't know if any of you know Lou Christie, but Lou Christie was a legendary singer from the early 1960s.
Lightning Strikes.
Exactly. Lightning Strikes, The Gypsy Lied, all these great songs, Every Trick in the Book. Wonderful singer who's still performing out there. And I met Lou Christie simply by accident in Hell's Kitchen. He was a friend of a friend.
You meet everybody by accident.
Yeah, well, that's the best way
It
to
is
meet
the best
people.
way. It is. It's usually the most important way. I find when you're not looking.
And what's really great is when you meet people, they're complete strangers to you, and within about 5-10 minutes, you realize that you share so much with them. It's like you're meeting an old friend.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Those most amazing encounters.
Yes.
But anyway, so I met Lou Christie, and we got to be friends. And he invited me to come and see him record a live album at the Bottom Line.
Wow.
The next day, I showed up at the Bottom Line, and I say, "Hi, I'm FReDeRiC. I'm supposed to be taking photographs of Lou." And the guys at the Bottom Line, they were very nice. They said, "Oh, it's FReDeRiC. It's that photo guy. Yeah, it's FReDeRiC FoTO." And that's how I got the name for it. So I can thank the Bottom Line and the incredible Lou Christie for my goofy name.
Yeah, I saw a couple people at the Bottom Line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see Lou Reed there?
I didn't. The last time I think I was there, I saw Marianne Faithfull.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. She was great.
Yeah, I saw Tammy Wynette at the Bottom Line. I saw Eddie Rabbit at the Bottom Line.
I went to a Sweet 16. A friend of mine had her Sweet 16 at the Bottom Line, and David Essex was.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Who else did I see? I saw Willie DeVille at the Bottom Line record a live album.
I saw, what's his name? All the people who died. Jim Carroll.
Jim Carroll?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did Keith Richards get up and play with him?
He might have. It was one of those nights that I don't remember very much. But I know I was there.
It's most appropriate for a Jim Carroll evening.
Yeah.
If you can remember,
I know who I went with.
If you can remember, you weren't there.
I do remember I was there, but I don't remember what happened too much.
So maybe we should take a look at some of the.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did a lot of black and white.
I think that's time for me to have a coconut. Yeah. Robin Chester.
So I used to do a lot of black and white photography. Then the age of digital came up, which has pluses and minuses, but there are clearly more pluses than minuses when it comes to digital. And then I switched to color digital photographs. So let's take a look at see if we can have time to check out a few photographs.
And then you're going to have one of these, right?
I'm not going to have one because one is a bit too phallic for me. I'm one of those crazy heterosexuals.
Oh,
so,
get lost.
No,
not about sex.
No. So instead,
food is love.
So instead, being obsessive when it comes to women, I want two so I can fantasize about the nipples.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah.
All right. Because you're so interesting.
We all love the
FReDeRiC
titties, isn't that true? Come on. Admit it. Hey, that's it. There you go.
Okay, well, all right, go on with your show now.
Okay, so let's take a look at a picture. What's the first picture we're going to look at? Well, why not? Since we're here with ReW, there's a very nice picture of ReW with Billy Ficca in 2006 at Art Bar.
Here we go.
Okay.
So I love that photograph because it it really shows the friendship and the love between two musicians playing a very very casual, informal bar party scene. I think it was Alan's birthday actually. Art Bar was his birthday.
Oh, in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
That was a fun day.
Yeah, that was a really fun day. And that just that sort of segues into the theme, what I try to capture in photographs. You know, there are an awful lot of photographers out there who are technically very proficient, but they try to capture this sort of legends of music, profound look on people's faces, very stylized and all that. The great, this very sort of commercial look in music, whether it's rock and roll or old blues guys or jazz people or whatever. I find that to be a bit pompous, and what I try to capture in a photograph is people feeling very comfortable within the environment. In other words, people being themselves, and when people look at my photographs, I want them to feel as though they were there and they have a connection with the subject matter at a very human level, as if they were friends with the people in the photograph, rather than putting music stars on a pedestal. These semi-divine creatures that you just can't have access to. I find that attitude towards music and rock and roll or any other music form to be a bit silly, and it's part of the American showbiz culture, which I'm not very comfortable with. And that's why.
So we got time for a couple more.
Yeah, let's go to a couple more. Let's see what else we got here. Let's go for a picture here at Otto's. Why not?
Yay, Otto's.
Maybe there's a picture if you go to. Let's see if I can find it. Go to King Bee and the Stingers. Okay.
King Bee and the Stingers. That's a good one right here. It's a very pretty one from what I'm seeing. Everyone else is going to look at it right now.
Back live? Okay, huh?
Robin Chester.
So I like that picture. It's
King Bee is amazing. He's a living legend in this
You
town.
can tell by the expressions on their faces that they're very comfortable and they're having fun. They're just being themselves.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at another picture here.
Okay.
We were talking about
Now we got
Patty Rothberg.
Yay, Patty.
For Patty Rothberg.
Yeah.
Your piece.
Find it. Somewhere. There we go. Here we are. Good old Patty. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's Patty Rothberg at Ace of Clubs. Patty is easily one of the very best singer-songwriters in America today.
Absolutely.
A great talent and a sweetheart of a lady. So there it is. We can't go through even a small fraction of the very small number of photos that I brought with me. But if you like these types of images, please go to FReDeRiCFoTO.com and enjoy, and also connect with me on Facebook.
There you go. Oh, one for each.
How sweet!
All right, FReDeRiC FoTO. Thank you so much, FReDeRiC.
Thank you, ReW, and thank you to the whole team here at Autos. You're the best. We love you.
We do. Thank you. Yay. Awesome. All right, Caroline, you going to come end it?
Yep.